Yo ho ho! What's going on, guys? Bruh, yo, this chapter was everything, bro. This shit was everything I was looking for, bro. This chapter was a 10 out of 10. It's gonna be exciting to break this shit down. The prospect of what's coming up next is incredibly hype. We've got an indomitable character, it seems like, in the way that Black Sperm has been drawn. And you already know about my boy Atomic. Ain't nothing he can't cut, quote unquote. We'll address all those points in the review. My nigga's like, yo, this chapter was it, bro. Yo, that shit was it, bro. Alright, so you already know we gotta start it off with the cover page respect. Look badass as hell to get Shiryu, Garo, and Saitama on there with the Sharenko wig and shit like that. To start it off, colored and shit like that looked nice. I'm not sure if that was anime art or if somebody just colored that. Either way, it looked badass and nice. The chapter opened up with the disciple sticking on Devil Longhair again, and we got to see him with his hair all shaved off. I guess that's how they were actually able to beat him. Uh, his weakness is his hair, as they mentioned. It didn't look like it took that much effort. The area around them was pretty fucked up, so I'm very impressed with the guys who put in that work. We know Kamatachi's air slices were in there cutting shit up. We know Buster was out there, spinning shit and turning niggas out. And we know Yain was out there dodging shit and cutting everything he could, fast as hell. And I think that was the product as to why they were able to win. We know that they were long hair, got underneath the ground and started to uproot. That's why all that rubble was there underneath them. But I'm kind of confused as to the time scale. Now, we were talking in previous discussions as to if some of these fights or events are staggered amongst each other, if they're happening at the same exact time. I'm not too sure about everything, and I have a small indication that this may be staggered as well. But it kind of looked like they beat him pretty easily or pretty quickly. So this may be something that happened a while back, and we're just flashing back to it. The reason why I say that is because the area in which they were fighting, it doesn't seem like more destruction happened. It looks like the initial attack that happened with Devil Longhair, him coming from underneath with his hair while attacking them, and then there's just cut marks all over the ground and everywhere. So I'm not sure what more happened, or if they just continued to cut in the same stance until Devil Longhair eventually ran out of hair. The previous presentation that I got from Eon, dealing with running a wrestler was cool or whatever. He couldn't cut through it. We understand, that's fine. And after that, even, he managed to dodge a bullet beforehand and then cut it in half. Incredible speed, incredible feats. He's doing a good job. I like the character, and I'm confident in his strength. But with his encounter with Melzigard, he lost an arm. And in that encounter, he was doing okay. The anime, I'm not sure if it's just filler, but he was attacking Melzigard pretty successfully for a small amount of time, even though he would just regenerate. So it's not like he can't attack a dragon level monster. So I was assuming that with a group like Bushijiro no Kamatachi backing up Eon, that they would, at max power, do pretty well or be able to fight some pretty impressive guys. But Devil Longhair is either very strong or disciples aren't everything. I'm not saying that they couldn't take on Pure Blood and get beat by a smaller margin almost, or win by the same amount almost, but that may not be true. Pure Blood may actually just body them like nothing. I'm a little confused to the strength of the A class right now. I know there's a big difference between Amai and almost all these other guys. People even predict that Amai is stronger than some of the S class guys. That's fine. We'll figure it out once it happens. But until that time period, we know that A rank number 2, Eon, pretty much caps it all off. We could bring up people like Fubuki to the top of the list as well, and we'll have strong exceptions. But pretty much, Eon is the strongest non-S class hero. So why did it take so much effort? Either way, I'm kind of upset that they got off screen. I wanted to see more of it, but regardless of it, it actually made me think about whether some of the other A class heroes could do better in groups. Like the team that took on Garo, would they do better up against Devil Longhair? Then we reached the hype about, oh boy, the strongest swordsman, the realest nigga in the chapter, bruh. Atomic Samurai showed up, cutting through a sound effect, even doing his flash slash, I guess is what they called it, or flash attack. Um, Pretty cool Murata to do that. That's why the picture looked like it had a shape in the middle of it, while we seen the slash mark that was in the center of his actual path. That was a sound effect there, and it looked amazing when he did it. Murata's very creative with how he does his panel control, and I was impressed when I saw that. One thing I wanted to point out in the immediate panel after that is we met a guy called Sword Devil Executioner, and he's most likely a demon from the presentation that we saw. When he entered, he mentioned that, oh, You cut them all down with one slice. Impressive. Expected of a guy known as Atomic Samurai. If you look at the picture, they're all cut up into hundreds of pieces. Every single monster there. So my question is he not able to see that he cut them up like that crazily? Or because we only saw one slice in the previous page, should we actually believe that one slice did all that? I'll probably address that and ask the guys on the podcast to see what they think. But I think that that last slice was just the last part of the cut. Now, or just how his cut starts. One of the two options. I know that he often starts off his attack and then at the end they'll end up with a bunch of cuts on them. But oftentimes we just get the depiction of after he's finished the cut. And they have an entire pattern all over their bodies of the slices. So I'm not exactly sure how to interpret that, but I think he cut them so fast that the executioner only saw one cut. But he still put in some work, so it's alright. The executioner had a pretty cool design. It was a little bit weird. I would even say a little bit more weird than cool, but it was still badass to see. He looked like a swordsman type, like a big, strong swordsman with a big sword, but he looked like a beast combo with that. I always liked the designs that had like multiple eyes that are demonic or whatever, so that was what made the design acceptable to me. But besides that, he looked more weird and short than anything. I'd say he's a regular demon class, maybe even a high demon to be able to fight Atomic, or like he did or whatever. Most monsters wouldn't be able to do that. They don't have those capabilities. So we do have to give him that props at the least. He was able to, I think, block is what it was, or slash at the same time. I'm not sure how it was depicted. It looked like he himself was moving his blade as Atomic was moving his blade. That's what the slash marks were on, because not all the slashes were Atomics. Overall, he ended up dying in one of the flurries, so it's to be expected. Next came in the Juggernaut G5. Bro, this guy got put on a back burner. For a minute, we had the theory running with Zonin talking about that G5 was Drive Knight. That may or may not be the case. Either way, this chapter leans towards it not being Drive Knight, but there's a little bit more evidence that may even make the theory even more concrete. Now, to skip ahead before we talk about the other portions that are so badass, he has a core inside of him. Very, very, very tough. And Atomic's sequence didn't cut through it. We didn't officially get the whole name drop, word drop, design drop on the side where it says Atomic Slash, like we would for other characters or other times for Atomic Samurai himself. But it did look like the depiction of the Atomic Slash. Now, he has done the Atomic Slash of fodder before, so it's not like it doesn't vary in degree or it differs in different degrees, or maybe he doesn't differentiate between who his enemy is. He'll cut the same way for a strong guy to a weaker guy. But he wasn't able to pierce through G5's core, and that's very, very peculiar. Apparently, he's from the quote-unquote association. That's what we were told in his origin. And we don't know that much about the association. We know that G4 came from the same origin, and G4 was pretty difficult to beat. He wasn't a super, super strong demon, but he was a demon indeed. And with that presentation, we had high expectations for G5 to be superior. Not to mention with his previous endeavors, not to mention with his encounter with Child Emperor. G5 has strong potential. For him to come in here like that and to have a core that even Atomic Samurai couldn't break, maybe there's something weird about that. Maybe there's something different about that. Drive Knight's spectacular ability to basically use nanotechnology or however it's going to be described to transform into different shapes, objects, tools, and all different kinds of situations could make him into G5, possibly. I'm not sure how that would work or if that dynamic's possible, but I'm still interested in that theory that Zonin came out with and how it's going to correlate with the situation. Regardless of that, if he chose to fight hard up against Atomic Samurai, then that's his fault for getting cut up. Besides that, Drive Knight ain't as strong as Atomic, for now, quote unquote. I'm hoping that that's not him. I'm hoping that the association actually has the ability to make some pretty strong bots like this. It would help build up Genos' storyline, and I'm interested in seeing more of that once we get out of this arc, and maybe even at the end of this arc. If you notice, G5 did escape after a little bit of the flurry. If he's trying to leave the Monster Association, the only other way to go is up. Now, I don't think it was as wise of Atomic Samurai to actually allow him to leave like that. He said that he trusted in the Surface team to do it. I don't think there's anybody in the Surface team, even as a group, that could handle the threat that G5 just produced. So, it's a little bit worrisome of me to see him going out like that. This may also be to our advantage, though. Genos did take down G4, the previous model, of this robot or the previous release in this line, however the association is categorizing him. So to have him take down G5 as well would be suited accordingly. I wasn't gonna say that G5 is going to find Genos for sure, but it's likely if this guy's actually leaving that could be a course of action. He hasn't come into this arc, and to see his storyline play out and be connected further and move forward would be fitting. Now, it's not like we couldn't use Genos down here at the bottom of the association as well. Some things could get pretty tough. Before we move on from G5, though, I do have to point out he seems like he's a very, very, very high demon. In the poll question for the One Punch Man podcast, we already written in G5 versus Bug God. Neither of them have gotten the dragon ranking, or the low dragon ranking, and they seem pretty powerful. They're fighting very high level individuals, strong S-class guys. So I'm thinking that maybe Bug God in the second form, if he's not dragon, which they haven't given to us, he's the high dragon position. Could he beat and fight G5? Could G5 show what he did? Use the potential that he's learned from watching Atomic Samurai and his other fights to actually beat Bug God? The scaling isn't exactly there, and they have similar material or similar displays in fights, so we can't say that one has less or more than the other. I think it's pretty fair to put it out there. So I'm interested to see what y'all think about that. Hop in the comment section and tell me what you think about Bug God versus G5. Not only can he watch what you're doing and then learn your abilities, but apparently he can also improve upon them. As he was telling Atomic Samurai that he can make different and unique techniques that you've never seen before. I'm impressed by that. So I hope that he doesn't just die like what happened with G4 too. Next, we have a very important topic that we have to address. Fuck Wagama. That is all. And the last part that we're going to hop onto is Black Sperm. Old boy came through. Now, you guys already know in the One Punch podcast how we have our section, our little portion where we do our whole thoughts on a particular character. And for this session, we get to officially do it for Black Sperm. Somebody who we've been talking about for a while. We even made up our own previous backstory. I think it's the first backstory we ever made actually for a character for Black Sperm. And now we're going to actually talk about it in detail. He looks like a fucking bad ass. You already know about the story. The people who are drawn the goofiest, who have the least effort put into them to actually look badass, those are the guys that are strongest. Black Sperm looks super duper goofy. To have him coming in here like this and up against Atomic Samurai, one of the strongest guys in the S-Class, this is about to be a fight, bruh. No matter what way you look at it, no matter whose side you're on, no matter how you're putting it, this fight is going to be epic. Atomic Samurai not only has the atomic slash and incredible speed, we don't know about this guy Black Sperm's anything. And from the looks of it, he's high up there, like high executives. Maybe even the coordinator leader of the executives, the cadres. Now, I know we can put Orochi there, or we can call him the Monster King. I'm going to separate him as the Monster King. Leading the guys and at the front, and the one that was taking initiative was indeed Black Sperm. He was even outspoken about Orochi himself when they were talking about, once we complete this operation, you guys can challenge Orochi and then see who's really the strongest. And he was the one who said, with a cord, he'd like to attempt that. I'm confident in the power of Black Sperm to be a crazy enemy. The problem is, Atomic Samurai is one of my favorite characters. And it'd be incredibly embarrassing to be hyping him up like I be hyping him up all the fucking time and shit, and to have him be the first S-Class hero to literally quote-unquote lose. I know Genos is the exception to that because all he does is lose, but this is the first real nigga in the top 5 that would be losing in our case. Child Emperor showed his worth. Bang has been showing his worth. Tatsumaki's is powerful as fuck. Everybody's done their job. So we cannot have Atomic Samurai slacking. And that makes the other side much more exciting. If we get a guy who's as hyped up by the community as Black Sperm, as powerful as this guy is, if Atomic beats him, I don't want to hear a goddamn word. Because I know for a fact people are going to tell me by the end of this that Black Sperm is as strong or weaker than Galewind and Hellfire. That won't be the case. Flashy will indeed be underneath Atomic. He will take this if he beats Black Sperm. Now, I know that this area of the story is going to be super duper filled with webcomic spoilers. Like, I've already been told for the next podcast that's coming up to be very, very careful with which sections of the comics that I read. that there's going to be a lot of modding going on, a lot of deleting messages. Please do your best to not spoil me about this fight. I don't want to hear about any webcomic information. I'm going to get there. This is a different story, by the way. There's a lot of little differences and a lot of big differences. So I'm hoping that this is going to be one of those variants where it's not either going to be the same outcome or it won't be the same scheme, same plan, whatever it may be, so that I don't have to worry about spoilers. But regardless of that, this fight is going to be freaking epic, man. This really has the potential, or quote unquote, this has the expectation of being in the level of Phoenix, Elder Centipede, and even above that. It's supposed to be above that. I'm excited for this. He already dodged one of Atomic's little air slashes that he threw out there. It seemed pretty powerful when they were able to literally cut through clouds. His air blade slash literally cut a cloud. Like, it didn't pass through a cloud, it didn't disperse the cloud, it cut the cloud. That's freaking badass. I'm excited to see what else he gets into. Atomic Samurai is going to do that thing to them boys. Alright, that's it for the chapter. That shit was super duper broken, banging. I love that shit. I'm excited for the next shit that's coming up. Check out the One Punch Man podcast. It's going to be amazing. All the guys are going to hop in. I know a lot of them are really, really excited about Black Sperm. He's been really anticipated. So we're going to see what happens when we get into the discussion. Remember to check out my live reaction for the chapter. I really, really, really love that shit, man. To see what I was talking about, bro. Go ahead over to that. Like, subscribe. Like that shit. And let me know what you thought about the chapter yourself. Alright, man. See you boys next time, man. Yo ho ho!